Happy Friday! I hope you're having a good day. If you haven't already, go on ahead and do your citizenship on Schoology and then come back. Today we are going to be talking about the 13 original colonies. Okay, so what is a colony? A colony is a country or area under the control of another country and occupied by settlers of that country. So we refer to these as the 13 original colonies. These are the 13 will eventually become states that people moved from, mostly England, sometimes from Dutch and Spain and other countries, but mostly from England. And English people occupied this area. So, what were the English colonists' motivations for moving to the colonies? Well, most of the time it was for religious freedom. Sometimes it was for money. So, kind of goes back to the whole gold, God, and glory that we talked about for the explorers. English colonists came over for much of the same reason. So, the original 13 colonies were established by the early 1700s. And the climate and the geography of the different regions played a huge role in shaping the economy of each region. So we have the New England regions here in green, we have the middle colonies here in yellow, and then we have the southern colonies here in red. And their climate and geography really made a big difference, which you will see in a minute. So, first, we're going to talk about the New England colonies. They are the northernmost colonies made up of Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. One thing I want you to pay attention to here on our map is we have Massachusetts here, which looks like what Massachusetts looks like now, but this is also part of Massachusetts. It doesn't change until Civil War time frame. But whenever you're filling out, this is Massachusetts and this is Massachusetts. So the economy of New England colonies were built around all the forest and the oceans that were there. So they had shipbuilding, whaling, so they hunted for whales, fishing. That's how they made most of their money. They had very long cold winters and overall a really harsh climate that made it really not ideal for large scale farming. Now, they did have some farms, but they tend to be more subsistence farming. And subsistence farming is a vocabulary word you need to know. It just means that the people lived on what they grew themselves. Maybe they had an extra carrot or two here that they sold to a neighbor, but most of what they grew just to feed themselves. They didn't sell it on a large scale to other people. Our next one are the middle colonies. The middle colonies are New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. Now, this is kind of in the middle of the New England where it gets really cold, and the southern colonies where it is really good for farming. The climate was mild, they had nice flat lands, and it was very fertile for farming, so really good. Most farmers produced cash crops like wheat and corn, and they also did some mining there. It was also pretty good. So, iron was used to make products like kettles, nails, tools, guns, things like that. And cash crop is a vocabulary word. Cash crop just means it is a crop grown for sale to make a profit. So they were growing wheat and corn to sell to other people to make money. And then our last colonies are the southern colonies. So these are Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. They had the warmest climate with long hot summers and mild winters, and this was perfect farming land and weather and made a big role in determining their economy. And they had huge plantations that were established for growing crops like cotton and tobacco. And cotton and tobacco were huge exports overseas. England loved tobacco and cotton. France, Spain, all of the European countries loved having that tobacco and that cotton. And it made the southern colonies a whole lot of money. And we created plantations, which is another vocabulary word, and it is a large farm or estate dedicated to growing substantial amounts of crops for sale and profit. This is what the people who were brought in from the triangle trade, this is where they went. They came to work on the plantations because it was making Europe a lot of money. And in order to make them a lot of money, they were building more plantations, which means more people are needed. And why pay for people whenever you can have some for free? And because of this, the southern colonies had the largest population of enslaved labor. The northern colonies didn't really need it because they weren't growing things on a large scale. They were fishing. You don't need a lot of people to go fishing and just build your ships. The middle colonies had some because, again, we had the cash crops of the corn and wheat, but it wasn't to the extent that the southern colonies were with the tobacco and cotton. So, here are your 13 colonies. I want you to go back and reference this picture in a minute. So, for your assignment, I'm going to get out of here and go to Friday's folder. Yep. So this is your assignment. If you don't already have it, you need to go up to the desk and grab it, or maybe the paper passer has passed it out. What you're going to do is looking at this map, you are going to fill out where your states are located. So on here, it has a 2-letter abbreviation. The 2-letter abbreviation is here. Don't forget, Massachusetts is here and it is also up here. You are going to make this smaller so it fits in one page. You're going to label the Atlantic Ocean, and then you're going to color the colonies. So the New England colonies are green, just like they are here. The middle colonies are yellow, and the southern colonies are going to be red. Also, along with this, I have a lot of people who missed this in previous years. You are drawing a snowflake to represent the winters and a tree and fish to represent the economies up here in New England. You're going to draw this in the middle colonies here, and then you're going to draw these in the southern colonies to represent their climate and how they made their money. After you are done with that, you can turn it in. If you don't finish, then it is homework. If you do finish, work on your student spotlight until the bell rings. Your exit ticket question today is, why was the substitute teacher's eyes crossed? That is a joke today, so I want you to write down your best guess and then turn in your exit tickets in the bin. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Monday.